Megan here, answering a question that I got from a subscriber about fat loss. And the question was, how do I optimize? What supplements can I get to optimize the stages of fat loss? So I guess you watched my previous videos on how fat loss actually works, and he took the small route, which is pretty much pick a supplement or food or whatever that's gonna speed up every single stage of the fat loss process. So anyway, quick recap. Before I list the three supplements, remember, just like I mentioned in every single video, you have to understand the process before you even think of what to eat or what to do in order to optimize it, okay? Same thing with muscle building, same thing with fat loss. If you don't know how muscle is built, you're going to be confused your entire life. You're going to spend a lot of money on bullshit supplements. You're going to get scammed. You're going to read through journals and articles and you're going to be confused, all right? Same thing with fat loss. You need to understand the process in order for you to know what works and what doesn't. You know, it makes things so much simpler, right? So for my visual learners out there, I have once again a quick simplified version of the fat loss process. If you want it in more detail, go watch my longer videos on it, but I'm trying to keep this one short. So in short, you have the fat cell, you have the muscle cell, right? Remember, 80 to 90% of your fat is burned in the muscle cell, all right? When you're at rest, when you're doing cardio, your muscle cells is really where most of your fatty acids get burned. All right. So we have the fat cell, we have the muscle cell. I'm trying to keep it simple, so I'm eliminating a lot of the tiny details. Let's only focus on the most important stages. All right. So obviously, inside the fat cell is the actual fat that you're trying to lose. Okay. I have it in yellow here, as you can see. Fat plus G. G stands for glycerol, of course. So your body stores fat by combining fatty acids from the foods that you eat or whatever your liver makes, combining that with glycerol from carbs and other substrates. So when you combine glycerol and fatty acids, right, you have pretty much triglycerides, which is belly fat, which is the fat that we are trying to get rid of. Okay. All right, moving along. So in order for you to burn the fatty acids part, I just call it fat, FAT, right? You need to separate it from the glycerol. All right, that's very important. You cannot burn fat unless you first separate it from the glycerol that it's bound to. All right. So, in order to do this, you need this enzyme here that I explained on the video, hormone-sensitive lipase. There's a bunch of other enzymes involved, but once again, let's just focus on the main players. So this enzyme is gonna help separate those two, right? Glycerol is gonna go off and fuck himself, and fatty acids are gonna go into the blood and then eventually make their way into the muscle cell, where they will be burned into the mitochondria, right? The mitochondria, if you remember from biology class in high school, mitochondria is where your body produces ATP, where your body makes energy, where your body burns glucose and fatty acids and things like that to make energy, right? So your mitochondria, I put a flame here. It's the chimney, right? It's where all the burning takes place. Okay? So far you follow, right? So remember, you need fat to be separated from glycerol. You need the fatty acids to go into the bloodstream, into the muscle, into the mitochondria, and get burned off, right? And then the end products is obviously energy, carbon dioxide, and H2O water. Now, this process here, the splitting of fatty acids from glycerol, obviously is kicked off by this enzyme, but this enzyme has to be stimulated. The reason why it's called HSL, hormone sensitive lipase, means it's hormone sensitive lipase. It's a lipase, it's an enzyme that's sensitive to hormones, meaning you need hormones to activate it, right? And the main players, the main hormones that activate this enzyme is obviously adrenaline, you have glucagon, things like that. But once again, let's focus only on adrenaline here because it's the most powerful one, okay? So adrenaline, or if you're from the UK, norepinephrine, whatever you want to call it, noradrenaline, blah, 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 is going to come in. It's these purple things here. It's going to bind to its receptor as always, right? Hormones need receptors in order to do their effects. So it's going to bind to its receptor. It's going to activate CAMP, PKA, right? Just, a whole bunch of shit here. And eventually that's going to go ahead and stimulate this enzyme, which in turn is going to go ahead and split up the glycerol from the fatty acids. And then the fatty acids is going to go ahead and do the thing I explained earlier. So that gives us three stages for fat loss, three main stages. Obviously, there's a lot of stages, but once again, three main stages. You have stage one, where you want the adrenaline and the glucagon and all the fat burning hormones, right? Remember, I always talk, all my videos will talk about hormones, right? Every process begins with hormones. So you need the fat burning hormones, in key adrenaline to activate. So that's stage one, right? It's gonna go ahead and do its thing, stimulate this enzyme, boom. Now, once the fatty acid is in the bloodstream, remember, it has to go inside the muscle cell and into the mitochondria. Else, it's just gonna stay in the blood and be recycled eventually. We don't want that, right? We don't want it to go and recombine with glycerol or go back inside the inside the fat cell. We want it to go in here. Carnitine, And this is stage two. Carnitine takes the fatty acids. Once the fatty acids are inside the muscle cell, right? You have an enzyme that's going to put them inside the muscle cell. Lipoprotein lipase is going to put them inside. You need carnitine to take the fatty acid and put it inside the mitochondria. Carnitine it's obviously an amino acid, you guys should know, and it facilitates this process, right? It takes the fatty acid compounds and it puts them inside the mitochondria, and then boom, you start the Krebs cycle and it starts burning all kinds of fat. Okay, so this is stage two. Stage two is actually taking the fatty acids and putting them in. Stage three is the actual burning, okay, which is in the mitochondria. So once we know those three stages, right, now it's easy to know what supplements to get, right? Number one, for stage one, you need a supplement that's going to help increase the action of these hormones, right? And the best known out there in the market legally is obviously caffeine, right? If you're not taking caffeine, in your fat burning journey, you're at a disadvantage. Caffeine is, in fact, if you look at the most fat burners, turn them around, look at the active ingredients. 99% of them is caffeine. They don't tell you guys that because they're not gonna make money. Hydroxycut and all these other things, whatever, all these fat burning supplements. You look in the back, even most pre-workouts, it's caffeine, right? So you could get that from coffee. It's cheap as hell, guys. So caffeine is gonna increase obviously adrenaline in the bloodstream. I'm gonna make a whole video on caffeine if you want me to, but yeah, pretty much what caffeine does, it blocks adenosine receptors. Adenosine is the molecule that makes you tired and sleepy and things like that. Caffeine has a similar structure to adenosine. So caffeine goes ahead and blocks the receptors for adenosine, which makes it so that your body's constantly alert. That's how you have this energy. You're like, oh man, I'm not tired. I feel great, right? And then your brain responds to that by releasing a whole bunch of adrenaline, which is the opposite of obviously being tired and being fatigued, is having a lot of adrenaline and fat burning hormones. So adrenaline goes through the roof. Cortisol goes up too, but once again, I'm gonna explain that in the coffee video. So adrenaline goes through the roof and then speeds up stage one. All right, so check. Have caffeine in your list. Very cheap. Stage two, remember carnitine. Right now, I don't recommend you to go out there and actually buy fucking carnitine because it's pretty expensive. But if your diet is high in carnitine, high in amino acids, you should be fine. High. In fact, if you're cutting, I keep telling you, follow a high protein diet. If you're cutting, you should be getting plenty of carnitine. If you want to go ahead and supplement, that's fine. But you should be getting carnitine from your diet, and your body also synthesizes carnitine. So you shouldn't have a problem with carnitine. But that's the second thing I would recommend because it's crucial for the fat burning process. The last thing I recommend is for stage three, which is the mitochondria burning the fat. Antioxidants, right? Simple, simple. It's not really a supplement, but anything that's gonna increase the amount of antioxidants in your system is gonna be great for helping your mitochondria remain healthy. If your mitochondria is not healthy, you fucked. Remember mitochondria. It gets damaged by free radicals from we training, we eating bad foods, things like that. You need antioxidants to patch it up and help it remain healthy and productive. So that's the top three things I recommend for fat loss: caffeine, right, to speed up stage one; carnitine from a high protein diet, or your body's gonna make it itself, or a supplement; and of course, a lot of fruits and vegetables to protect your mitochondria and keep it functioning. Right. I didn't mention fish oil because if you're not taking fish oil right now, I don't know what channel you've been watching. I don't know what you're doing. Fish oil is a given, so it's not even gonna make the list because it's like telling you to drink water. You know what I mean? Like fish oil, water, things like that. I'm not even gonna mention because that's a given. All right. Hope this video helps. Trying to keep it short. If I missed anything, comment below. You have more questions, comment below. I'm gonna base my next videos based on the questions I get in the comment section. If this video helped, give it a thumbs up. Thanks for supporting the channel as always. Team 3D Alpha, Dominance, Discipline, Direction. I'm out of here. Other segments. So go in the comment section and just vote. Vote on what you think is your most requested topic. And then obviously the one that has the most likes are the ones that are going to prioritize. In case, let's say